How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Gumps podcast episode whatever. Today we are joined by the lovely, the amazing Webhead. Say hello, my friend.
What's up, guys?
So today we are going to be talking about a couple different things. We're just going to go with the flow, see what happens. But before we get into the fun stuff, I feel like I'm obligated to talk about it, even though I tried to avoid it for a while now. And that is coronavirus. So I'm just going to try to get this out of the way because it has been bothering me for a while now. Okay, so I'm not going to try not to rant or anything like that, but long story short, I'm just tired of seeing people saying that. One of the biggest things that bothered me was people saying that this is my body, my choice, my life. So that gives people the right to go outside without face masks and basically do whatever the hell they want. It's a pandemic and it's killed more people than the flu. And it bothers me the level of arrogance and stupidity some people have. I'm not saying it's you guys. I don't care if you guys go outside as long as you're taking safety precautions. The world is opening up way too fast. And as much as I want to see people be outside, because I need to go outside for every once in a while. I need to actually see a dentist badly. And it sucks because I can't with this whole coronavirus happening. And the way things are opening up, it's going to prolong certain things staying closed, like dentist's office. So people who are acting this arrogant and asinine are keeping things closed. And I don't understand why people are saying like, oh yeah, corona is not a threat anymore. I've seen some news clips on certain channels I won't say because of politics. I don't know why this is a political matter. All of a sudden it's now a politics thing and not a pandemic thing. But somehow politicians made this a political debate. So congratulations. Long story short, we're going to close the door on this. Stay the fuck inside. Jesus Christ. If you need to go outside, get some air, you want to go fishing with your buddies, go ahead. But don't fucking go to public areas without a goddamn mask saying it's my right, it's my life. Jesus Christ. Okay. Webhead, what do you want to talk about first? There's plenty of things we're going to talk about. You pick.
First off, I have to say, the beginning when you said, oh, this is not going to turn to a rant, and then you just fucking ranted for the last second. Good job. But,
Thank you.
Yeah, but I'm not really, I don't usually get into politics and everything going on in the world because that's not what I talk about on the channel or even when I'm guest starring in someone else's channel. Because, you know, it's just, we're talking about nerd stuff, but otherwise, I agree with Gump. People need to stay home. People need to realize that this pandemic's still going on, and even though people are technically kind of rushing things in because they're tired of being inside, if you guys just stay inside earlier, maybe like earlier in this year, maybe things could have got better. You know what I mean? If more people just stayed home, or whatever. That's all I gotta say about that. But I guess the first thing we could talk about is probably the Supergirl rumor that you told me about before this whole thing started.
Okay, so what he's talking about is. So it's not from like the Hollywood Reporter or Variety. It's a source that kind of gets things right 50% of the time. So it's not like we got this covered who made the report on the live-action Spider-Man 2099 series on Disney+. It's not like that. It's more of just, again, they get 50% of the things right. So they're claiming that DC, Warner Brothers, are going to try to focus on Superman before Supergirl because according to them, the reasoning, even though it's bullshit, I hope it's right, is that leaving Superman where he was left off, which was in Shazam, with a like faceless reveal, like it's just from the shoulder down. They're like, we can't leave him there. It's not going to make sense to follow that up with Supergirl. That is the most asinine reasoning I've ever heard in my entire life. But I don't want to see a Supergirl movie. Not for a while, at least. Because, let's be honest, I am one of the firm defenders of Man of Steel. I'm one of the few people that will be super public about it. But hates on the majority of the DCEU, I will publicly defend Man of Steel. I think it's a hidden gem in the superhero genre, my opinion.
Yeah.
But
That's okay.
We didn't really get to see Superman. And we got quote unquote Superman in Justice League, but he had a freaking CGI rubber lip half the time. And he was dead, then he was alive, and then Lois, and things happened, and now he's perfect. Yay! I want to see a movie with Superman. I always defended Man of Steel because I said it's the beginning of his journey. I want to see him become the Man of Steel, like Smallville, except less annoying. So, I could always find a way to bring up Smallville, but no. So I wanted to see him become the Man of Steel that we all know and love, the very happy, charming, charismatic Superman. And then to get a Supergirl movie first, it just contradicts what like happened. Like, again, I hate bringing this argument up, but it breaks what happens in the comics. In the comics, Superman has to train Supergirl to like temper her anger, and it's kind of hard for someone who had literally no experience teach someone to temper her anger, because he's been Superman for 4 years, barely. We've seen 3 movies with him in it, and the one he killed Zod, which I was okay with. The other one, he got his ass beat by a 50-year-old man. Cool. And then the third one, he's dead, and he comes back, and he's Chisel Chin. And anyway, I want to see a new Superman movie before we get a Supergirl movie. I'm not against the idea, as long as it's not the CW Supergirl, because that's not Supergirl. God, ugh. Your thoughts? What do you think about this?
No, I agree. I think they should focus on Superman, which the idea of doing a Supergirl movie after he came back and not do Man of Steel 2 was weird to me. This was during that time where DC was pretty much announcing so much stuff without even thinking about, what are we actually going to work on first and what makes sense. Now they're like, let's just make our own movies again, like separate, just on their own. But the whole thing about the Supergirl movie is weird because I don't really see the point of a movie about just her. I feel like she's always just been a supporting character, which is why a TV show about her was kind of off to me at first. I mean, what would she even do? And then, of course, the show had half of Superman's rogues gallery in there. But I think DC should just focus on Superman more, because you gotta see where his journey's starting now, because he's basically reborn. He's more happy now. He's not like hated by everybody anymore. It's funny because when you kind of think about it, like in Man of Steel, he's a newbie. People are kind of afraid of him. Makes sense. They don't know about him yet. Then in BVS, he's hated and kind of worshipped, and then he died. And now everybody likes him now.
Yeah. Despite... when I was watching this, I'm like, wait, you fuckers are the same people that were like, yeah, let's burn him with the stake if that maybe kills him. Yeah, and then he dies. No one knows what actually happened. No one knows what truly happened. What are you going to believe? An Amazonian princess? Yeah, I can guarantee you she did not go public. Or the Batman, the guy who's literally insane. Or are we just going to make our own assumptions like we have been for the past fucking, 4 or 5 years of him? Yeah, I want to believe the Bat. Let me believe the Bat. Now we worship you. We're sorry. We're sad. Funeral. Because I can guarantee you did not have a front row seat to that fight. Because everything was ash, destroyed. Because, in good Zack Snyder fashion, everything's like... It looked like Avengers Endgame in the final fight. That's what that whole fight looked like. 10 seconds of Doomsday. 5 seconds of Superman bleeding the fuck out because, Kryptonians. Okay, yeah, you go. Sorry.
It's like very fucking weird, especially being it's the second film of the franchise, and I don't understand that. I don't understand BVS. It's just a very dumb movie. I mean, Ben Affleck's great as Batman, but in terms of performance, but his character went through a major change, which apparently other people have copied. Crisis. But anyway, I was just gonna say that I think DC should focus on Superman more, make Man of Steel 2, to build up the concept of Supergirl. Like, I don't know, Clark finds her in the cryostasis or something like that. Yeah. And then trains her, like you said, and then she becomes Supergirl. But make her more of a supporting role. I don't really think a movie about her would really work. To be
Yeah.
fair, other than just to bring more, different types of audience. You get where I'm going with this.
Yes, yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah, and like I said, because DC really at this point is more focusing on making just movies, not like connecting their franchises anymore. It looks like, which is good. I would rather have a good movie than just have something to build up something. I mean, this is why the MCU started to go a little more. It's fun, but it's like it's the same formula. We kind of talked about this last
Yeah.
time, but it's basically that. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, and what's good about that idea in general, there's two things about Man of Steel 2 that you kind of brought up, and something that's been announced a while ago before the whole Supergirl thing, who was supposed to be directed by Joss Whedon. Matthew Vaughn, the director of what was it, X-Men First Class, and I believe he directed the first two. He directed Kick-Ass 1. He didn't direct Kick-Ass 2. And he directed what was it? Kingsman. He directed the first two Kingsman. And so I love him as a director, and they were going to make him a director for Man of Steel 2. I'm like, dude, that's perfect. Tonal wise, that's awesome. So if that was still the thing, I would love that to happen. And if Supergirl is in the movie with Superman and she's a supporting character, I think a perfect villain is Brainiac. And I think that would be a fantastic villain. Villain, because Kryptonian based villain, and like it's big for two Kryptonians, but not. It could be big enough for the Justice League, but I think two Kryptonians would do for a Brainiac kind of villain, which would be very fun. And plus, it's very personal too. I think it would be a good personal story, like Kara could be like on the path of vengeance. She's like, I gotta kill Brainiac, and Clark is sitting there trying to just train her. Like, if you go down the path of vengeance, you're gonna go down a dark path that there's no returning from. And I think that will be a good dynamic between the both of them. It's a question of morals, and like it's not one of those morals where you like clearly Kara needs to suck it up and just no. It's like Brainiac destroyed an entire planet, multiple planets. So you kind of see why she's a little pissed. So, yeah. And it would probably piss her off even more when her own cousin's like, yeah, let's let him live. Let's let him live. He's like, I'm not going to kill again. I killed once. It's the worst feeling in the world, so let's not. She's like, we got to murder him. And so, I think that'll be a great banter back and forth.
Yeah, I think so. Because basically, Kara would have easily become what Superman was in the Injustice games, basically, if she did that. Which, of course, those games are crazy as shit. By the way, sidetrack, guys. I know we're trying to focus here, but I did see the film Justice League Dark Apocalypse.
Yeah, how was it?
Dude, it was fucking nuts. I'm not going to spoil it. For one, it's rated R. This is like one of the rare instances of a rated R DC animated film, but that film is freaking nuts.
Let me see if it's on like the DC streaming service. I hope it is. I doubt it, but I hope it is.
It's on Video on Demand. I found it online, but basically, dude, imagine Avengers Endgame, but more fucked up and twisted. Basically, that's basically what this film was building up. It's part of that. It's part of that DC New 52 universe animated films. Like the Death of Superman, Reign of Superman, those films. It's basically that. It's like the culmination of all those films that started in the Flashpoint Paradox movie.
Oh, so this is like their Avengers Endgame event?
Yeah, basically, but it's effed up, man. It's effed up.
Okay, so what's it called? Justice League what?
Justice League Dark Apocalypse. I believe that's what it was.
Damn, I don't see it. Dark Apocalypse. Dark Apocalypse.
Yeah, because Constantine is kind of like the central character in this film. Because, it's Justice League Dark.
Yeah. Damn, yeah, they don't have it. Okay. This is going to be a sidetrack, but I think this is one of those few sidetracks that it's fine to have. So, the whole DC Universe app is fine because I get to watch a lot of the Teen Titans. I'm now in season 2 for Teen Titans. I just started watching Harley Quinn. I got done the first episode. It's a great show.
Awesome.
It's actually hilarious. I laughed a handful of times. I'm like, damn. They made me
first,
actually like Poison Ivy, and they made me feel bad for Harley Quinn because they made it vividly clear the reason why she loves Joker is because it's like, what's that terminology where you're being abused, but you always fall in love with them anyway. It's like that abusive relationship, and it made me. I just watching. I'm like, damn, Harley, you can do better. And then Poison Ivy's like, he's an asshole. Like, it's just leave. I'm like, damn, this shit's hitting different. I'm not gonna lie.
Exactly. This is what people never seem to notice all the time back in the day. You know, Harley Quinn and Joker's relationship. They don't realize how effed up it is.
Oh my god.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you remember, like in Suicide Squad, they play it off like, oh, it's cute, whatever, like that, and Joker cares. No, he does not care. And there was even an extended. There was like the extended cut, right? I think there was an extended cut where it showed the lead scene of him actually trying to ditch her or something like that. How is that romantic? I don't get why people never seem to understood that.
Yeah. Like the whole dynamic between those two is perfectly shown in the first episode of Harley Quinn. It was perfect how the relationship was. He would rather save Batman than save Harley. And when I saw this, I'm like, if they're going to care about these characters the way that they were actually made, he's going to pick Batman because he can't live without Batman.
Yeah.
And he didn't even hesitate. He's like, listen, honey boo, I love you, but I got to save the Bat. And then I'm like, ugh. I just felt dirty watching. I'm like, yikes.
Yeah, because I don't know. It's kind of suggested that Joker is in love with Batman. I guess. First, I don't know what to say about that.
I don't know.
It's a weird concept, I guess. But no, man, I'm glad you're.
I don't think it's love like that. I think it's more like it's one of those like it's like a friendship that is like very toxic because you like are codependent.
Yeah.
So Joker's like codependent on like Joker. That's how I took it because was it like Harley Quinn said Joker loves Batman. I didn't take it like that. I'm just like I could see what they meant.
Yeah, that's what I think. What you're saying is what I'm thinking. Because that's why I was like trying to think what it was, but yeah, you basically remind me what it is. It's basically a toxic friendship, and yeah, but I'm glad you're enjoying that. I'm also glad you're watching Teen Titans. And that's always a must.
Yeah, Teen Titans so good. I remember watching it growing up, and I always loved Beast Boy. And I'm watching it now. I'm like, damn, Beast Boy is the most useless character. God damn, he's just like he's always getting into trouble. He's always just like slowing the team down. I'm like, Beast Boy, come on, Hemi, get in there, do something. And then the episode where he got hypnotized like, what, 4 times? I'm like, bruh, get in there. Everyone else can fight this shit except for Beast Boy because he's a brain-dead idiot. I'm like, Beast Boy, get in there. Kick his ass and make him fight, dude.
Yeah, but at times he could probably be the most mature character depending on the situation. I don't know how far you're on season 2, but I'm just saying it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, man. I'm glad you're enjoying that, and of course, there's a lot of other stuff on the streaming service.
But yeah, that's right. That's what I was talking about. But yeah, with all that, the DC Universe app has nothing. It's got nothing to it. It's like I'm not saying like content, like new content. They don't have a lot of the older content. Like where's the like DC Extended Universe? First off, they don't have any of the more recent films. I don't see the Dark Knight trilogy in there. I don't see any I don't see Man of Steel, BVS, even though I won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Any of these other movies I don't see. I'm like scratch my head like. So when I'm done Harley Quinn and I'm done watching Teen Titans, I'm thinking about. I'm probably not, but I'm thinking about going to watch the live action Titans show. Even though I know I'm not gonna like it, but it's still Teen Titans.
It's funny because I actually watched both seasons. It's fun at times, but they made some stupid mistakes. I think you probably would rant about if you watch both seasons. You know what I mean?
I heard something about the Batman. It got me a little nervous.
When you watch it, you're gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
but of course, I heard Doom Patrol was really good.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to watch.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, for some reason, DC doesn't have everything they own. Like you said, the DC Extended Universe films, not even the CW shows. I guess that makes sense. It's CW, but then there's like It's weird. I don't really understand. They said it will have everything in there, but they don't. It's
They
just
really
like
don't.
one of those things. I mean, I'm glad they got most of the old DC shows like Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond. That's great that they're in there.
Yeah, and
But
it's just when you really take it into hindsight, you are buying this for the old animated stuff. I watched
yeah,
a handful
basically.
of episodes of the Batman animated series. I watched like 4 or 5 episodes of the Superman series because I know that they're all connected to the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited show, which I
Pretty
love
much.
those. I love those two shows. I love them so much. I wish we got more, but what are you gonna do? You just cry
Yeah,
about it, maybe.
and you know what's ironic though, or kind of sad, that Marvel kind of was trying to do that back in the day, like before Disney bought them. They were going to connect Spectacular Spider-Man, Avengers vs. Mighty Heroes, which by the way you should watch if you're going to watch some shows. Watch that one, and Wolverine the X-Men. They're kind of trying to do their own thing like DC did back in the day, like connecting all the shows together and have crossovers and shit. But then the Disney buyout happened, and then they canceled all those shows because they want to market the MCU basically and make shows
I,
like the
I
MCU.
I don't see
Which,
how that would work though, because like the X Men's still owned by Fox. At least at this point in time, they
yeah,
were still owned
at
by
that
Fox.
yeah, but at that point, that was before the buyout, and I think there was a special deal. Like Fox owns the movie rights, but not the TV rights.
Oh, okay, okay, so that makes
Yes,
sense.
but Wolverine the X-Men is a very underrated show. It only had like one season. Avengers vs. Mighty Heroes had like 2 seasons, and they were amazing. They were almost on the level of Justice League and Justice League Unlimited because they were telling good stories that connected. But then when they were making season 3, they got informed by Disney, oh hey, we're gonna cancel your show because we want to make one to cash grab the first Avengers film that was so successful. They had like big plans, and they were like screwed over.
Yeah,
And yeah, it kind of sucks that Marvel got the short end of the stick with animation back then.
yeah, and I feel like they're focusing a little too much on the movie. Like they're making what was it next year? They're supposed to be like what 4 MCU films.
Yeah,
Yikes! It's starting to sound like a chore now. Like, don't get me
it is.
wrong. Like, I love my comic book movies. I do. I'll watch them. The only comic book movies I haven't seen were the Dark Phoenix because I knew that looked like dog shit, and the Emancipation of One Harley Quinn because that looked like shit, and
I
it just it's going to be so much harder to watch all these films because again they all feel the same. I miss the old MCU because I recently watched every single movie with Iron Man in it because I wanted to see the full arc in person, and I did that in 2 days. I saw Iron Man
wow.
1, 2, then no, I saw Iron Man 1, 2, Avengers 3, Age of Ultron, then Civil War, Homecoming, Infinity War, Endgame. That's what I did. I watched those movies back to back, and it you really see in a way the scale and the scope of the stories increase, but you see like the visuals and the style decreasing.
Yeah,
Like in
because
Iron Man, my bad, but in Iron Man 1, you see like there everything looks crisp and clean, and like it's hard to tell what's CGI and what's not. That's how much care and focus was in the CGI. And when you look at things like Endgame, like the entire background being CGI and stuff like that, everything's got this glossy look to it. And I don't like glossy looking CGI. And it's making the MCU uglier and uglier to look at when it comes to like the grander scope things. I miss seeing the simple, like remember when Iron Man's suit actually looked like you could touch it?
yeah, because it was real. Like some of the like
The
half of it
majority of the
was
suit was
CG.
real.
Yeah, the majority of the suit was real at that point. But after a while, and especially since they kept rushing new films every year, it becomes a point where they basically are like, all right, so let's put CG all over. It's because they've been making more movies lately, and that's the thing about the problem. Instead of just making sure the film looks really good, they're like, all right, let's just have CG stuff all over the suit, and then in post production we'll have the rest of the suit on basically, and it's basically CG and all that stuff. And that's why the locations half the time is CG because it's basically green screen backgrounds.
Yeah.
It's just part of the idea that they're basically kind of just making more movies every year, like 3 to 4 now. It looks like even the Sony films technically, which is basically like almost 5 or 6. It's like too much. And yes, I had this this conversation with my friend, on the phone one time, and I told him, yeah, in a way, the MCU is basically watching a chore because doing a chore. You're basically watching all that stuff plus the new Disney Plus shows now. There's like so much stuff going on. It's kind of overwhelming in a way.
Yeah, and like remember Civil War, like the whole airport scene. Remember when Iron Man took off his helmet? Like how jarring that looked?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. When in 2008, so what was it? That came out 2016. That was 8 years prior. Iron Man with his helmet looked off. Like the sides were on, but the mask wasn't on. That looked 1,000 times better than when his helmet was off 8 years later in Civil War. Again, because there's time, care, and they mix practical and CGI. I'm not one of those fucking practical Nazis out there. It's like there's no such thing as like CGI, bad word, CGI. Like there's people who wanted Thanos not CGI, practical. They wanted Thanos practical. Yeah, fucking right. So I understood that, but there's a time and there's a balance to be had that makes the movie look grounded. That's why Iron Man 1, in my opinion, has the best visuals in the entire series of the MCU.
It's pretty funny when you mention Thanos. I feel like the special effects department spent most of their budget just to make Thanos look really good in Infinity War, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then everything else,
Everything else, Infinity War definitely looked better than most. But you're right, Thanos is what really grounded that film. But when you look at Thanos in Endgame, everything in Endgame just doesn't look nearly as good as Infinity War. Everything, like, again, glossy, large scope, and like I recently rewatched that movie for the first time since it came out. That's how little I liked Endgame. And I watched it again, I'm like, yeah, it was fun, but again, And again, it was just not pretty to look at. Like, it was just, there was something that they were trying to focus on. That was too much of fan service, and the CGI was not good. It just didn't look grounded. Like, when the Avengers, the Avengers headquarters got blown up, that area in general is only so big. And then when they cut to the next scene and it's like ground zero for the final fight, for miles, everything is black and gray and gross and ash. I'm like, that was not the size of the Avengers HQ. I can guarantee you. There's all these inconsistencies because they were too busy working on how big everything was. I said this in my last podcast with the Jordy Nerd Paul. So, and this is, ever since I really said that and I've been like really looking at it, I'm going to start living my life like this. It's the small things that make the bigger picture better. And when you focus on the big picture, the small details are not there. And when the small details are not there, it's just another movie. Hence the MCU.
Yeah,
like when you're seeing Iron Man suit up in the first Iron Man, you see the parts moving and clanking. Does it make sense? No, but you get to see it move. You see how the machines operate, and when he comes on, you're like, "Damn, that made me fucking wet." And then now we got like Iron Man nanotechnology magic, because it's magic at this point. It loses that sense of like, wow, this is wondrous, this is spectacular, because you're getting to see the small moments. If you focus on the small moments, the bigger picture comes that much better. And the MCU, I feel like, has lost sight of that because they're trying to focus on these grand stories. You can make these grand stories, but at the end of the day, you got to focus on the character. And they do focus on these said characters, but not visually speaking. Not visually speaking. Because, again, if they focus on smaller stuff visually, Iron Man from 2008 would not look better than Avengers Endgame in 2019. Just saying.
Yeah, man, we came a long way. And the thing about it, and this is kind of funny when you mention this, and I know you don't like this series, but how funny is it that the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films have more practical effects than most MCU films?
It's
Just
pathetic.
saying. It's just saying because most of the stuff, especially in the first Spider-Man film, was real, despite some minor CG, which is pretty dated now. But for
Hmm.
most part, it's all practical. It's just kind of funny.
The suit. I love Tom Holland to death, but his suit, the design. I think my favorite design is Far From Home, but you can tell not even half, 80% of the time it's CGI. Why?
Yeah, I don't know why. It's because they rushed it. Basically, they had a practical suit in the Civil War behind the scenes, if I remember correctly. They had a practical suit.
Could have fooled me.
Yeah, but apparently they don't want to use it. So why the freak did you have it on the set?
Like I don't hate the original trilogy. It's just I know it's dated and it's not as good as everyone makes it out to be. And I get a lot of sometimes I get a lot of shit for that. I like which one do you prefer? Oh, you prefer what was it? Fucking Peter Stark? You prefer Peter Stark? Oh, hilarious. Whatever. Like I just feel like the embodiment of who Peter is and Spider-Man is best embodied in the MCU, even though you're missing some elements. But I feel like over time you're gonna get those elements, and people are just so used to getting them in one
Yeah,
packaged movie.
I I'm kind of been used to that argument where I'm like, yeah, we're gonna get it eventually. I mean, I rewatched Far From Home with my sister, I think like 2 weeks ago, and I told her how much, some of the things they kind of brush off, you know what I mean? And how the movie's not really taken too seriously at times. And I'm like, okay, well, I like a fun movie, for sure. I like Kick Ass because it was a fun movie. But sometimes there are certain movies that have to take itself a little seriously at times, not all the time. And it's funny because I don't really get why Tony Stark gave Peter Parker, a kid, glasses for drones when he doesn't really know what to do with them yet. You know what I mean? And he gave it to a stranger that he only met for like a few hours or a day, and then all hell breaks loose. And I did like that this caused a major consequence, which is why we had the post credit scene. But
Yeah,
like I said, this is why I'm excited for the third film because this film is literally going to be the film where Peter's like, all right, I got to step up. I got to be who I'm meant to be, Spider-Man, and all that shit.
yeah,
But like I said, but the reason why I love the first two Tobey Maguire films because they're at the end of the day, they're just small films. They're really just small films. There's no big event, no alien invasion. It's just a story about a guy trying to live a double life as a superhero and, well, a man. You
yeah.
know what I mean? Whether you like it or not, Gum, it's fine. It's your opinion, and I respect that about that.
No, I definitely agree though. I feel like in three they gotta tone down the scale because every movie has got to be this world-ending event. Even though technically Far From Home was not this world-ending event, it was just a made-up thing. But it's still the scale was set up to be a world-ending event. What they need to do is just scale it down, get Spider-Man back boots on the ground so he can find who he is. Because I do understand a lot of people's arguments where like Spider-Man is now just an Avengers boy, even though Spider-Man is an Avenger and he was with the Fantastic Four, he's all these things. We still need to focus more on Peter because Peter's not Peter yet. We need to step to the side with him and just let him focus on him. That's why I think it needs to be like a courtroom kind of drama where he's gonna like literally figure out who he is as a person and maybe have the main villain be Kingpin. I think that would be a perfect villain. Have Daredevil in there. You don't have to have Daredevil in there, but I think it would be a perfect like like thread to weed him in, and yeah, have Kingpin as the main villain. He's not this world-ending event kind of guy, but he's a more kind of a person who attacks you personally, and I think that would be good. And see May actually be threatened for the first time would be fantastic. To add some threats, add some threat to the value.
Because well, what I didn't like about Far From Home is how in the beginning May's just okay with Peter being a superhero.
Yeah.
You know the whole thing where the ending where she found out who he was. I was expecting a major change, like a drama. You know what I mean? In the sequel, like maybe she, especially after the snap. You know that Peter got flat out turned into dust, and he came back 5 years later. And I know May got snapped too, but the idea that her nephew also got snapped probably would have traumatized her. But nah, she's just okay with it. She was okay with it, and the follow up, and I'm like, what? And I was like,
I'm just glad that everyone who was actually major to the MCU was snapped, so they can keep the same actors. I'm so happy for that. God bless the MCU. It's just like,
yeah, it's instead of just aging them up, you know what I mean? It's like,
God forbid if you had a fucking wrinkle.
Yeah, I was so confused about that. But yeah, there should be some stakes. And the whole thing about Spider-Man being an Avenger, yes, he was. But the thing is, he was older, more experienced, and he already had established relationships with all these characters. That's why I did not like the whole thing in Homecoming where he's just like, oh, I'm going to be an Avenger now. I get the point that the whole point of that movie is for him to realize that you can't grow up too fast. And I like that lesson. And I like that he decided that, yeah, I'm not ready. I'm going to be my own hero. And then it's taken away in Infinity War, and he's wearing the Iron Spider suit, and he's an Avenger now. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Whatever. Do whatever you want, movie. This is why I was a little annoyed with the MCU Spider-Man for a while. But I came in terms with it, and I'm just hoping that the third film will wrap up the trilogy nicely. Whether or not what's going to happen after that with Marvel and Sony, which, speaking of which, since on the topic, to our next discussion.
The Spider-Man MCU, if you will. SPUMC.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. What is it, like Sony Pictures of Marvel, Sony Pictures Universe of Marvel character. That is such a god-awful name. What the flying... Someone got paid to make that, by the way. I can't imagine... I can't imagine being paid to make. What's wrong with the Venomverse, honestly? It's stupid, it's cheesy, but it's short, simple, to the point. It's connected to Venom, and Venom was the starting point. Like the Arrowverse, it's simple, cut, dry, not spunk. What a trash name. God damn it, dude. Fucking awful.
It's a very weird and bad name. It's kind of confusing. Just imagine telling people, hey, are you going to see the new Spunk movie? And I'm like, what? It's like, Spunk? And I'm like, yeah, the new Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters. And they're like, what, another universe? Why is it called Spunk? And I'm like, I have no idea. It's a weird universe of Marvel characters. It's a weird name, and the funny thing is that they call it Marvel characters. Can you just call it Sony Pictures Universe of Spider-Man characters? But that doesn't make that much sense either.
Because that would be
Yeah, it doesn't make sense either. They should just call it Spider-Verse because it's basically a universe based on Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Basically, it seems like that's what they're going with. Yeah. I know Venom was the starting point, but it's basically Tom Holland's Spider-Man's side, universe. I guess I'll call it that.
It's his his Glock on his left strap. It's not his main gun, but it's his gun. And speaking of Spunk, while on the topic of Spunk, I did make a video about this, but I want to hear your thoughts on what I said in my previous video, which is, what do you think of the idea that Sony and Disney seem to be working together a little bit more, and do you think that's going to extend the relationship with Tom Holland as Spider-Man in the MCU? Do you think we're going to get more movies with him, or do you think we're going to get a second trilogy? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so this whole thing started when I heard about this interview with the former director of the canceled Silver and Black film or project, whatever the freak it's called. With Black Cat and Silver Sable. Yeah. She was saying that the project is somehow still in talks, and they're thinking of making it a limited series on Disney Plus. And I was confused. I was like, Disney Plus? You're Sony. You can't put it there. And then it got me thinking, like, are they really actually gonna put their universes as one? You know what I mean? Like, officially, And I thought to myself that would actually be kind of cool because for one thing, we get a legit Marvel universe with everybody back in there basically. But I was still kind of confused why Disney Plus. But then I think to myself, maybe during that deal that they made when they were trying to get Spider-Man back in the MCU, they're like, okay, we'll get him back, but we want to connect our universes together. And of course, you saw that with the Morbius trailer.
Yeah.
It looks like Venom 2 is going to have that too, probably. And I'm like, okay, now we got this Silver and Black situation. And then, not too long ago, there was another report saying we're going to get a live-action Spider-Man 2099 series on Disney Plus.
Right now, that's not really confirmed because of the reports.
So I said reports, but I'm like, holy cow! I think they're really going to connect everything together into one. It's kind of a weird situation because it's basically two studios kind of controlling the same franchise per se. You know what I mean? It's like if the CW and Warner Brothers somehow decided, oh, let's just put our stuff together back. If it was back in like in 2012 or something, or it was just Arrow season 1 or something like that. It's like an alternate timeline where all the other CW shows never really exist in the Arrowverse, but also in the DC extended universe, and there's no Flash or whatever the freak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a weird situation, but it's one that I don't mind because, like I said, it gives more characters that Marvel doesn't officially own into their library of characters for the MCU to play with. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to see how this is going to play out because I guarantee, even though I don't want it to happen, it's going to happen. There's going to be another power struggle within the next couple of years. And now how big it's going to be or if it's going to be the final like footnote that we see, it depends on how well they handle it. Now, I would like to see another trilogy of Spider-Man, not just because I'm a Spider-Man fan, because, again, I've made this vividly clear throughout the years. I want to see Spider-Man grow up to be the guy who ends up running his own business. What is it, like Parker Industries or something like that? I want to see him run that.
Yeah, the thing about that story is that technically Doc Ock helped him because he was inside his body at that point, and he's like, Parker, you're wasting your time, man. And in his body, he basically made the industry with his genius. And once after that, Peter's like, oh, shit. When he got his body back, he's like, oh, shit. Doc gave me this industry I have to work with, and that's what he does. He was basically working off what Doc Ock did because he had to pretend to be the Parker that people have been associating with in that company, which is obviously Doc Ock. I mean, he had to go along with the charade, basically. But of course, not a lot of people liked it, and he went back to being poor. You know what I mean? But I get what you're saying with that.
Yeah, just like I want to see him mature as a person, as a character, and see him finally become successful. So make this trilogy about him in high school. Make the next trilogy of him being in college, and the next trilogy, if we are ever so lucky, even though I know we're not going to be that lucky, because I am destined to never watch a 3-part trilogy of Spider-Man, because God forbid if I actually got what I wanted as a person. But a third trilogy with him being the very, like, almost perfect Spider-Man that we always wanted to grow up to be, but we had those 6 movies prior to see him getting beat to the ground morally, emotionally, and physically and psychologically, just getting beaten down every movie. And then that final trilogy comes out and we get to see the outcome of that said thing. And I think that would be fantastic to see.
Yeah, depending also if they ever introduce Miles Morales, though.
I think they will. I think they will sooner rather than later. I think that will probably be introduced again. Big speculation here. It's going to probably happen in second trilogy if it does happen. Yo, wait, what's up? What's up, Chris? I see you. I did not see the comments. I don't know why the comments are not speaking to me. What's up, my man? You continue.
I was going to say, is there any questions that they left? Because there was comments.
Yeah, right now I just got Gump. Hey, Gump. Yo, Gump. I would like to see Miles Morales, but I want to see Peter be established as a solidified character. Because right now in
Yeah,
the
I
MCU,
agree.
we have not even gotten the best of Peter yet. Right now, it's just been him on the training wheels, and even though I supported that, it's time to get him off the training wheels and him to be his own
Yeah,
man. And
exactly.
once we get that, and once we get to see him mature and develop as a person, then we can start having the idea of Miles Morales. Because they already teased Miles Morales in Homecoming. It was his uncle or his
Yeah, it was
yeah
Uncle.
that's in the crime and stuff like that.
Yeah, the
Like he
cop
was
one.
in there. Yeah, so we got a tease, and they mentioned he's really young. So we got MCU years. I don't know, maybe 10, 10
Yeah,
MCU years, unless he was dusted. Because
I really don't know. That was confusing. Or like he sounded young, and then 5 years later, in the end game, and he's like, I don't know, it's probably maybe 10, maybe he's younger. I really don't know, man.
yeah, I don't know, but just they got something to work with at the end of the day, and it would be cool to see. But right now, we got Miles Morales in the animated universe, and I think
Yeah,
right now that's where he's going to thrive for a little bit until he is brought into live action. Because when people think Miles Morales, now they're going to think of Into the Spider Verse, and it's going to be kind of hard to top that because that is the best Spider-Man movie in my opinion. Spider Verse is fan fucking tastic all across the board. Like every single Spider-Man was awesome. I was gonna say maybe not the anime girl, but she had her moments. So everyone had their star moments to shine, and morally, it was a Spider-Man movie. So it was
yeah,
fantastic. I love that movie so much.
yeah. I understand that. It was really great. In terms of Peter becoming the hero he's destined to be, yeah, I hope that will happen because some of the things I like in the comics I read is that like there was a comic where Cable said to Spider-Man that in the future you're considered the best hero of them all and all that stuff, and I'm like, whoa, you know what I mean? It's like, damn, and I want to see that.
Yeah, I would love
So
to see all that.
yeah. Any other topics you have?
We got a comment. Jesus Christ, I had a stroke. Chris no like Disney. Tell him I don't like Disney. He doesn't like Disney.
Yeah, I can understand that Disney had made a very big mistakes before. Like I mentioned earlier, canceling great Marvel cartoons to make mediocre cash grabs and stuff like
I
that.
in general I can see why people don't like Disney. I was on the Disney defend train for a while, but there's there's a time where my patience is worn thin, and right now the way they've been handling the MCU the past couple of years, it's not storytelling anymore. I love some of the old MCU stuff, but it's been a minute since I really loved an MCU movie outside of Infinity War. The majority, I did not like him. I liked Far From Home. I liked Homecoming. I liked Infinity War. Outside of those movies and Thor Ragnarok, everything else, the 15,000 movies they made, not a big fan. I'm not gonna lie. After like, what was it? Like the second phase of the MCU, they just went downhill in my opinion. The whole third phase I thought was kind of shit. It just they all felt the same. I like Doctor Strange, don't get me wrong, but again, it's hard to tell the difference formulaically speaking. Everything's got to have that fucking dumb MCU charm or laughter. It's like, can we just have like a serious movie? There's 23 of them. You don't have to make every single one of them a comedy because they all feel the same. And they're all the same jokes. We're going to say something really stupid and really fast and maybe be really charming. Fuck out of here.
Yeah, I know, man. Finally, I'm glad I'm talking to somebody about that. This is what I've been telling people, and some people like to be a little offensive. Like I had one person saying, "Oh man, it kind of sucks because the MCU was something that we had in common. Now you don't like it anymore." And I'm like, "No, I like it. It's just I noticed some of the flaws in these films, especially when you rewatch them in order. You know what I mean? Like in that marathon for Infinity War." I mentioned this before, but it's basically like that. I've watched all the films, and they basically kind of feel the same. And I'm kind of worried about for Phase 4 because it's probably going to be the same thing.
Just like Black Widow. First off, we talked about this a handful of times, so I'm going to get the bullshit out of the way. Shouldn't be making a Black Widow movie after she's dead. Okay, that whole thing's done. We're not going to talk about it any more than that. But it's Black Widow, a character who's a spy, and yet the Disney universe, Marvel, has to find a way to make this grand fucking spectacle. They have CG fucking crates flying down. I'm like, why can't we just have a spy movie? Why? Why can't we just have a grounded boots on the ground? No, we got to make it her flying fucking hair flippity floppity Taskmaster ship blowing up. I'm like, come on! I want a small scale. And this is coming from the guy who likes to see shit blow up. And if you're pissing me off with the ship blowing up, fucking hell. I have like this story in my mind. We all, like specifically all writers have this like big budget movie they have in their mind. They're like, man, I would love this to happen. I would love that to happen. In my head, I had this 4-part story that involves ship blowing up a lot. And I'm like, wow, maybe you should slow it down on the explosions. Maybe get a boots on the ground kind of story. Because you have the character to supplement said costs and action and whatever. But no, they got to do the same thing. CG planes, CG background, CG crates. And you probably have CG Scarlett Johansson flying down in a CG suit with fucking CG wind in her fucking CG hair. Just Jesus Christ.
I know, it's crazy, and I think I would have liked the movie to be like John Wick. You know what I mean?
Dude, yes! Get a John Wick with Scarlett Johansson! That would be fucking kick-ass! That would be awesome! And no, we gotta get the CG bullshittery. It's fucking dumb, man.
Speaking of CG, there's also Eternals. I mean, come on, you saw the concept art. There's gonna be a lot of CG in that film too.
Disney is hurting me into a practical effects guy, and I hated those people. I told you earlier in the podcast, there's practical Nazis. Everything's gonna be practical effects. I hated those people because you can't do everything with practical effects. Like practical Thanos, yeah, right. But you're turning me into the person that says fuck CGI. You did this to me. Me. A guy who's like, dude, we could do so much more because of CGI. Now you're telling me that you just made me say, fuck CGI. Wow.
CG could always work when it works. You know what I mean? It's weird. And the Eternals, I don't know what to say. All I know about that movie is that it's going to be a history lesson of the MCU, and they're going to explain why those characters weren't there during the events of Endgame, because some of the film's going to take place in the present, whatever the freak.
Honestly,
I really don't know. And then there's Shang-Chi, a kung fu movie, which I wouldn't be surprised that there's CG in there too.
I mean, you're gonna have the real Mandarin in there, so there's gonna be CG Mandarin with CG flames.
CG kung fu. Nah.
CG. It's just literally his arm is CGI because we're like, yeah, he busted his arm. So instead of waiting a week or two, we just put CG in there. Hey, just fucking bullshit. But I don't want it to happen because we got a Spider-Man that I love. We got a Spider-Man that I love. So I hate to say this, but hit the reset button on the MCU. Seriously, either that or slow it down, because everything's feeling the same, everything is looking the same, everything is sounding the same, and the characters are starting to feel the same. The MCU charm is that these characters were so diverse and different that they moralized them and they grounded them to be very humanistic people. The DC universe, those characters are very godly, and we have godly characters in the MCU and the Marvel comics, but the thing with them is they have very human problems. I don't feel that anymore because everyone's got a stupid fucking wit to them. I'm like, everyone's witty. It makes Spider-Man feel less special because what made Spider-Man awesome is not just his powers and not his age or whatever. It's because he had a wit to him, he had a charm to him. But every fucking douchebag on the block has got that now. Shit. It's annoying.
Yeah, and I'm actually kind of worried about what they're going to do with Blade or Deadpool or even the Fantastic Four and X-Men when they show up. Like, are they going to make them the same? Because consistency?
Like, Doctor Strange, of all characters, I love him. I love Doctor Strange, the movie. I love him in Infinity War. But he's a witty guy. Captain America has some wit to him in the comics, but they made him a witty guy. Thor, love him in Thor Ragnarok because it's so funny and genuine, but again, now he's a funny character. Every character they've ever created is now some form of comedian. The only person who's not a comedian in the MCU is the one that shows the least amount of life. Now let's figure this out. Who is the one that has the least amount of personality in the MCU? Captain Marvel! Person stares into a blank space and she's like, I look into the eyes of death and void and I just say, I will beat you, sir. Woman power!
Oh man, you remember those articles or videos saying Captain Marvel's gonna beat Thanos' ass, and I'm like, oh my god. And then in the film, Thanos kicks her ass, and I was just laughing. I remember I laughed in that part in the theater. I'm like, for those people who said that, slap to the face.
We got a comment. Deadpool is dead. No more Deadpool. There's a thing I have to say about that. I love Deadpool 1. It took me a minute to get on the Deadpool 2 train. I ended up loving that at the end of the day.
Yeah, both films are great, but, you know.
Now that Disney owns it, he's right. It's going to make me nervous to see what they do with him. They said that it's going to be its own thing. It's still going to be its own universe. But there's a thing. I feel like if you make a third movie, that's fine. But you're going to lose the charm to Deadpool really quickly. And you're playing a dangerous game once you make too many sequels to a comedy. Because at the end of the day, Deadpool is a comedy. And putting him in the forefront, especially of X-Force, because they were going to make an X-Force movie and he was going to be like the lead. You're playing a very dangerous game, making the comedian the lead.
The main character, yeah. And it's funny because Cable's supposed to be the leader of X-Force, so I don't know what the freak happened there. I mean, I think that was what Deadpool 2 was intending. You know what I mean? So, but that was before the buyout, and I don't know, I heard Deadpool 3 might not happen, and that there's going to do a soft reboot or some shit like that.
If Chris is telling me the truth, if I'm interpreting what he said properly, he's saying that, no, they are done with Deadpool movies.
What the fuck? This is a major turning event right now in this
he just opened my third eye, and inside my third eye is a raging lion with massive diarrhea. And it's not a pretty sight. And I'm about to take that lion and throw it in their front yard. I'm not happy.
So what are they going to do with him? Are they just going to shove him in other people's movies now, and that's it?
No. I think they're done. He's done. Like, no more Ryan Reynolds.
What?
I think they should have just wrapped up the trilogy with that, and maybe put him in side characters movies. But they're done with him in general. That's messed up. They were teasing him for a while to be in the third movie and in an X-Force movie, even though it's a dangerous game to keep playing him in these movies. You don't just shut the door on that, especially after you announce. I don't know. That's annoying. That sucks.
Wow. And the fact that I won't be Ryan Reynolds anymore, that'll fucking piss me off.
In general, I don't think they're going to do Deadpool because last time they did a PG-13 Deadpool, they took the merc with the mouth and sewed his mouth shut. So I don't think we're going to get a Deadpool in general, which sucks.
That sucks. Yeah, it does suck. I'm like, this is kind of showing bad signs now to me about Disney buying Fox. You know what's funny? I remember I was so supportive about this. I was like, yeah, because Fox made some very poor decisions.
The X-Men franchise sucked. They only had a handful of good movies. They only had a handful of good movies, and that's at best. 1 and 2 are the most overrated comic book movies of all time. Changed my mind.
Well, yeah, because they started the MCU train in a way. When you think about it, without those movies and the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, then Marvel Studios wouldn't really be a thing, you know? But, yeah, it's just me saying it. But, god damn it, though. Now I'm kind of worried what they're going to do with the Fantastic Four or X-Men or whatever they're going to do with them. Because, let's be fair, I know Wolverine's been PG-13 films before. That's fine, but he's at his best when it was fucking radar shit. You watched that Hulk versus Wolverine anime film, right?
Yeah.
That film was fucking awesome as shit.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, what I'm gonna be very pissed off about is every Fantastic Four movie has done this. except for the original, I guess, like the '90s, like original. That's what I mean. The one that like got like shit on, but every Fantastic Four movie has gotten like these people that look like angsty teenagers to play the Fantastic Four. They are not angsty teenagers. They are legit adults in their 30s and 40s. Like, okay, so Reed Richards in the comics is like the smartest human being out there. He is so smart, in fact, he actually got Galactus's attention. Galactus, the eternal Galactus, godly being. Without him, the universe falls apart. He spends so much time destroying universes. Well, not universes. Well, actually, yes, he outlives universes, but he destroys worlds and doesn't pay anyone attention. But he actually looked to Reed Richards to talk to him. And you know why? Because he said, you're so smart and you see things in a different light, and that's why I acknowledge you. And he said, and you know what Reed said? Instead of saying, fuck you, you're a monster. He's like, thank you for the honor, Sir Galactus, or whatever the fuck he said. But he basically bent the knee and said, I understand you were more powerful than me, even though you're doing bad things, you're doing these things because the balance of the universe is at stake. Okay, we understand that. But if you are going to tell me that Shuri from Black Panther is smarter than Reed Richards, I will literally foam from the mouth on camera the second that it is announced. I will literally have a stroke, seizure, fucking shit in my pants hybrid. I hate the character of Shuri. I do not like her. I know a lot of people praise her and praise be, she's God, she's whatever. She's 15 years old and yet she is smarter than Hulk, Tony, Doctor Strange combined. Because why not? Vibranium! We're getting to a Black Panther rant. We're not going to get into it.
Well, I was gonna say there's also the whole thing of Young Avengers, which we didn't touch upon in the last podcast, but that's a thing apparently now. Yeah, Young Avengers. The only good thing about this whole idea is because I know their main villain is King the Conqueror, the fucking time-traveling Avengers villain, who's also a major Avengers antagonist.
So you're going to take Kane the Conqueror and make him go against a bunch of teens of, like, wannabe heroes because their parents were the... Fucking bullshit, whatever.
Well, not parents, mentors, whatever the freak. Some parents, yes, like Scatcher, you know, Cassie Lang, whatever. But yeah, King has fought them before, you know, the Young Avengers, because, you know, time travel. But the funny thing is that King is also a relative of Reed Richards, all that stuff.
Wow, so, the more you know. I did not know that.
Yeah, he is. He's a distant relative. You know, that stuff. So,
fascinating stuff.
Yeah, and
Reed Richards is such a great character. And they got what's his face, Miles Teller to play him in the last one. What a clown! What a clown! That's not Reed Richards.
It's funny because Josh Trank actually did talk about this film again, like in a recent interview, whatever the freak. He said that he obviously didn't like the film, and he made some bad choices.
He didn't like him either.
Yeah, you'd think. I don't know.
You know, here's a fun fact. Miles Teller, guy who played Mr. Fantastic, and the director, Josh Trank, they had a fist fight on set.
Yeah, I remember that. I was like, holy shit.
They actually had a fist fight. And I'm like, I understand. Josh Trank's he's got a very smug, I'm better than you look. I don't know what it is. It's just, he's got a very punchable face. I'm like, stretch this bitch! I'll just drop kick him.
Yeah, I remember that one. I was like, holy shit. But about what you said earlier about the Fantastic Four actors that played them before were act like teenagers. I know for a fact that in the Ultimate Comics they were younger. I feel like that's where they took inspiration from for that kind of stuff. But I'm like, okay, I want to see an older version of the team. Don't know how they're going to introduce them.
John Krasinski, Emily Blunt. Let's get those two because they look like the characters and they're married.
Yeah, talk about fan casting to a T. You know, it's funny that people have been begging him to be in Marvel.
He even on John Krasinski's channel, he's like, maybe I'll play a Marvel character. I'm like, don't tease me. I don't like that. I don't like that's not nice. It's not nice teasing me like that. But let's be honest. When is the last time Marvel's cast somebody that we wanted? Never.
Not much. No,
never
not
ever.
Much. Yeah, and it's funny because Marvel has a tendency of not bringing good actors back as characters. Netflix and other stuff.
Well, that's not their fault. They can't do anything with that because that's contract.
Yeah, I know it's contract. I guess I want to talk briefly about this. Because it's been out for a week now. Charlie Cox confirmed that he has no idea about Spider-Man 3, nor does his Daredevil ever appear. I understand his claims. I mean, they're not filming. The script probably isn't finished yet.
No, they were getting ready to film. They were getting ready to film.
Yeah, but with the delays and stuff, they could rework it, I guess. But if he apparently had no idea about the film, like of his Daredevil showing up. He said he heard about it, but he said that his version's not going to be in it. He's like, if Daredevil's in it, it's not me. It's probably somebody else.
Which
I would
sucks.
say, yeah, it would suck. I mean, I would take his word for it. I mean, if he's like saying it like it's not happening, then I guess I'll understand. I'll be pissed, but I'll understand. But then I think to myself, is he just doing the thing that actors say when they're like lying about their roles that they're playing? I mean, what's his name? Tom Ellis said he wasn't going to be in Crisis, yet he showed up.
Yeah,
So I'm like,
I mean it's possible, but again, Netflix has contract to those actors for those characters. So if Charlie Cox is going to be in the movie, it's not going to be as Daredevil, which sucks. No matter what, because Netflix could say we'll let this slide, or if you give us something, we'll let you use Charlie Cox as Daredevil. But Netflix hates Disney now. They do not like Disney, and the reason is because Disney Plus. They lost so many good movies to their service because of Disney Plus. They lost Moana. They lost all the MCU. They lost all these Disney pictures. Netflix is not happy. So in what business world will Netflix be like, you just anally fucked us for your own business? So let's give you Charlie Cox as Daredevil because everyone wants that. That will never, ever happen. As much as I can guarantee you Disney would love that to happen, but it's not going to happen. Not in a million years. I can tell you can get Doctor Strange in this room right now. He'd be like, I've just looked at 25 million possibilities. How many is Charlie Cox as Daredevil? None. It's not happening. Never.
Yeah, I understand. Unless Disney, for some reason, decides to give them a new deal to Netflix. Like, we'll give you something in return, like what they did with Sony. You know what I mean? You negotiate. Whatever the case, we'll see what happens when Spider-Man 3 is filming, whenever that is, because the delays and shit. Yeah. And of course, most other stuff we don't know when it's going to come back. Like, actually, The Flash. I know off topic again, but The Flash's finale is next Tuesday. It's not even the true finale. It's actually episode 19. They're just wrapping up what they had left of filming, basically. As much as I don't watch the show anymore, I'm like, wow, that kind of sucks. But they said there's going to be a cliffhanger or whatever the freak. Like,
Iris is dead, but is it permanent? Of course it won't be.
Of course not.
No character stays there in the CW. That's why I gave up on them a long time ago.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny thing with comics in general, how people die, but then they somehow come back later.
It's funny. I mean? It's funny because Doomsday is what brought that. Like, Doomsday was like the first comic to really kill off a major hero. And because before then, I'm pretty sure when they killed off a character, they stay dead. And like that goes for like Hal Jordan's Green Lantern, because I think at the time it wasn't Hal Jordan, it was some like douche canoe. And then after that douche canoe, it became Jon Stewart, and then this whole thing. But like they killed off characters and they stayed dead for years. Like Barry Allen's Flash was dead for 30 years before Crisis on Infinite Earths. So when they killed Superman, everyone's like, what? And then literally the next issue he came back. So that's what brought the whole killing off major characters and bringing them back because they realize, oh, we can get away with this. And they're like, maybe we can have a doomsday kind of event, like just kill off this major character and then bring him back. It will make like sales go up through the roof, and then eventually just kind of ruin comics. That had a hand in ruin comics, even though it's one of my favorite DC storylines ever. It just ruined the comic book industry for a while, and I don't think they've ever really recovered.
Yeah, it's weird and nonsense at this point. Like it kind of takes away the effect of
Death.
of the comic and death. Yeah, and it's funny because you watch Smallville and you're like pissed off of certain things in that show, right?
It depends on what part. There's 10 seasons of me being pissed off. Well, my bad. Season 1 didn't piss me off, so there's 9 seasons of me being pissed off. So it depends. Which point the compass. There's a lot to be pissed off with.
Yeah, exactly. Because even in TV shows and films, they've done this kind of thing before. You know what I mean? Like, they killed off Green Arrow twice in the same crossover, and they killed him off permanently in the second time. Even though I feel like he'll probably have cameos in the future, whatever like that.
No, he's done.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Stephen Amell did say that. My bad.
Yeah, it's fine.
But it's like with the Flash, like they did the storyline where he's supposed to die, but he's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How are you gonna end the show? Especially since they're talking about doing 10 seasons.
Right. Okay. In what reality?
Yeah, they are. Grant Gustin's talking about doing season 8 and 9. And now people are saying 10. So, 2024.
I gotta be faster!
Just like in the newspaper, whenever were you supposed to vanish? 2024. 10 years.
Whatever.
What? Whatever.
Flash ruined all his perfect stories. Like, the Crisis on Infinite Earths, that's a major storyline for Flash in comics because that's when he comes back from the dead Barry Allen when everyone thought he was dead, but he was not really dead. He just ran really fast, went through the time continuum. So they ruined that. They ruined that storyline. Oh, and they ruined the whole Flashpoint Paradox. That was a 3-episode event with some things that change. Oh, it's going to affect the other shows. What was his spice? Diggle now has a daughter instead of a son. Whoop-de-fucking-do. I don't see how his mom dying makes any change, but okay. I didn't know his mom's death had effect on when they fucked and how they fucked.
It was actually one episode, Flashpoint. It's sad because I actually wanted Flashpoint to be a crossover event, really, than just an episode. You know what I mean?
That could have been a crossover event.
Yeah, it could have. Like, have Barry Allen interact with Oliver Queen's father, who was the Green Arrow in that universe, something like Thomas Wayne Batman, you know? But, nope. Didn't bother.
I hate the CW. I feel like every podcast, there's always a time where I start bitching about the CW, and I gotta stop. It's not healthy. It's really not. It's not healthy. I don't watch the CW anymore. And like they ruined enough of my life. We're done with the CW. They're trash. They're awful. They can't write drama. They can't write conflict. God freaking bid that they actually wrote for good stuff, but they don't. They stopped doing that a long time ago. If they ever started, but I don't know. Anyways, we're gonna wrap this up. But any final thoughts to what we talked about today, or anything?
Well, the last topic you mentioned that we didn't get to talk about is the whole Spider-Man, Spider-Verse cameos that were supposed to happen in the film.
Oh yeah, so quickly we're gonna go over this and then we're gonna wrap up. So Phil Lord and Chris Miller were supposed to actually. They suggested to Sony Pictures that they wanted Into the Spider-Verse, the animated movie, to have Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire in the film, and it was just going to be those three, Miles Morales, and Spider-Ham. It was going to be those characters, and then Sony was like, "It's too soon," so they canned it, and so a lot of people were saying, "Oh, how dare Sony!" And Webhead did kind of mimic my thoughts before the show. It would have been too soon. Let's live with Tom Holland first, because I know there's still a lot of people who have rage boners against Tom Holland, and I understand for the most part, but there's a lot of blind hate. There's a lot of blind hate with Webhead discussing his distaste, where I understand, and I'm not going to sit there and like say he's wrong, but there's a lot of people who just have rage boners against it because it's not Tobey Maguire. Like, the only Spider-Man alive can be Tobey Maguire or the one in the Spider-Man PS4 game. Like, those are the only Spider-Man that exist in a lot of people's minds. Like, if it's not them, I don't want to see it. That's the mentality with a lot of Spider-Man fans. But I do agree it would have been too soon. So, if it was like, I don't know, another 5-6 years in the future and Tom Holland's finished off his trilogy and he's being more established as a character, then I would have been like, yeah, it's time. We know that Tom Holland is Spider-Man. We're still recovering from the 15th reboot for Spider-Man. So, give it some time, and then I would have liked it. What about you?
Yeah, same. I think it was too soon, and I feel like 3 Peter Parkers was too much. You know what I mean? If you kind of think about the roster, right? If that was the case. I like the dynamics of each version of characters, you know what I mean, that we already had, because it gives them their own identity, and of course understand who's which is which, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's too soon, and I think we will see a Spider-Verse film with those 3 actors coming back. But I also think I want live action just because of, obviously, I think live action would have been better if it was just a movie with those 3 characters, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Because for one, it'll bring nostalgia for the Tobey Maguire people. Also, I guess Andrew Garfield, because he still has a fan base regardless. Yeah. And of course, Tom Holland, who's the current Spider-Man. It's like the past meets the present in the future. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's basically like that. I feel like they will do it eventually. I think they're just going to slowly build it up. I mean, we saw the Morbius trailer with the graffiti of Tobey's Spider-Man. So anything's possible, guys. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, here's the hoping. But next week, we're probably going to have 2 different Gumps podcasts. Right now, I don't know. I'm going to have to plan that out. So I'll let you guys know on Twitter. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, Gumps_videos. Go follow me there. And Webhead, where can they find you?
You can follow me on Instagram with the amazing Web15_, and follow me on YouTube. I will return to make videos sooner or later because I'm currently doing finals. So there's that.
Okay, guys. So like I said, you can follow me on Twitter, Gumps_videos. You can follow me there for the latest news and updates on my channel, guys. It's not just a saying for my outro. It's true. I update you guys a lot on Twitter. So follow me there, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
See ya.